And that's how you remove a control arm. Behind me is a 2003 Mercedes S430 with a crazy squeak. Listen to this. We pinpointed that noise to be part of the lower strut tower mounting. There's a little metal bracket where the strut tower goes in. The bottom of that bracket is a ball joint connected to your lower control arm. That ball joint allows it to flex and move while the suspension's bouncing around. That ball joint is the culprit. Unfortunately, you can't just replace that ball joint for the strut bracket on its own. You have to replace the whole lower control arm. If this is happening to you, follow along, we'll get it fixed. First thing we want to do is disconnect the battery in the back. That'll disable our air ride suspension. Then we'll jack the vehicle up, put it on jack stands, pull our tire off. Underneath, we want to pull off our skid plate. It's a series of 8mm bolts all the way around. So you can pull stuff off in a lot of different orders. We're going to start with our strut. It's an E16 inverted Torx, looks like a little star, or an 11mm standard socket. Either one works. We just pop off this bracket and our strut's free. All right, now down here, we have our lower ball joint connected to our steering knuckle. Mine is a 21mm, but it looks like it's been replaced before. We'll give that a little tap. Okay, it's free. Now let's turn the wheel in the other direction. Next we have our brake hose, 10mm. Our lower control arm should be free on this side. Now we go underneath and get the two wishbone ends. So right in this little channel, you can see that bolt. That's one side. The other one is on the other side. Not sure if you can see up in there. So that's it. I can't get an impact in there, but I can get a breaker bar. And then on the other side, right there, I have my wrench. 21mm if you got it, 7/8 does the trick. So I'm not able to get a breaker bar in here because I'm too close to the ground. If I was on a hoist, I probably could. And I don't have a big enough wobbly to get an impact to come out. There's just not enough space. So I'm just gonna use the wrench, bust the nut, and hope for the best. If I got it loose, I can get a ratchet on this side. All right, got one. Here we go. Now I'll try to do that to the front. The sway bar might have to come off or be moved out of the way for that. Let's take a peek. No, so I'm just gonna remove the sway bar bracket. There's one bracket on either side, and then our sway bar can just slough over, and I'm sure we'll get perfect access. So the sway bar link is a E14 on the bottom and an E16 on top. These two don't come out. Okay, think that's it. I think this side's just hitting this skid plate here. Probably need to take it off. Yeah, so I have to pull this skid plate off because it's just barely hitting the plastic. Let's see if I can move it a little. There we go. Does that get me above it? I think it does. Just had to move it a little. Get access to that bolt. Let's see. It's proven to be a little bit of a challenge because of the shape of the sway bar. It doesn't just drop down. So I'm gonna pop this off the link real quick. All right, see if that can bend. There we go. That's what we needed. So now the sway bar is completely out of the way, so just removing that one little link was what we needed to do. So let's hop back under. All right, now with the sway bar completely out, I think I can get my impact in there. Running into the skid plate. I'm gonna remove this front cover. I think we have to remove it anyway to get the sway bar back in. It'll just make life that much easier. So again, just like the other plate, it's all 8mm bolts. All right, here we go. Okay, now it's just spinning on the other side. Perfect. Nice. Okay, we'll push that through. Got it. All right, our control arm should be free. I'm gonna remove my jack. We want the knuckle to move over so we can clear our CV boot. There we go, down and out. With the control arm removed, check out our noise. And unfortunately, there's no way to remove it. You have to replace the whole control arm. All right, we got the old control arm out. We saw the noise, sweet, we're on the right track. Two things to note in hindsight is take off both plastic covers underneath. The one in the front is just a little rim, and then the one in the back, the main one, take both of those off, will save us a little headache. Also, because the shape of the sway bar doesn't just drop down, so by removing just one of the sway bar links, the bottom bolt, remove it out, then it'll come down. Other than that, not too bad. Pretty straightforward so far. Let's take a quick water break, and when we come back, we'll install a new one. Match up our new control arm with our old control arm. Make sure everything's the same, and you'll notice right away there's a difference. Our metal bracket for our strut is not included in the new one. There are two 5mm Allens that hold this bracket on. We'll pop those off. There we go. We'll remove them completely because they have a little Loctite on them. We'll reinstall Loctite when we tighten those up. Then we just transfer it over, turn it the way it was, apply a little Loctite. Good and snug. New joint, a little stiff, but we'll move it around. Let's mount our control arm on. All right, we're just gonna slide this in. Just gonna use the jack in the back. There we go. Nice. The old nuts for our two wishbone ends, they're lock nuts. So on our bolt, we want to put a little bit of Loctite if we're reusing our old nuts. Let's go under, we'll snug those down, but we don't want to tighten them up quite yet. A little bit of Loctite over here. Okay, just snug. We'll come back and torque these later. So now we're gonna feed in our ball joint. There we go. We have 52 foot-pounds on the lower ball joint. Now we'll work on getting our strut tower back on. We put a jack under the control arm, under the ball joint. Just jack up a smidge. Put our bracket back on. Lower this just a little. And these are 15 foot-pounds. Now we want to jack this side up. This loads the suspension. Now we can go ahead and torque our lower control arm bolts to the frame. Those are 81 foot-pounds. All right, our last struggle, sway bar. We'll just pop this in. I'm over on the other side, just trying to, oh, I knew that was gonna happen. Trying to start one of these bolts over here. A little E14 front bolt. There we go. Do the E14 first. Get a few threads there, nice. Well, that wasn't too bad now that the plastic is all out of the way. Just snug it a little. And put in our top bolt. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Just get them finger snug. Both of these are 30 foot-pounds. The last thing to bolt down, and it doesn't quite line up, so we'll jack up this side just a smidge. There we go. It's a lock nut, so we'll put a little Loctite on the back, and this is torqued to 70 foot-pounds. And that's it. Then we'll put our tire back on, lower it, and connect the battery. All right, all back together, moment of truth. All right, my battery died on my other camera, but that is it. Repair complete. If you want to know how we came to this conclusion that it needed a new control arm, click on this video right here, where we use an oscilloscope to see what we heard. Thanks for watching.